Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly shop steward today, because today we're carrying on with our ongoing campaign of playing... oh, guys, I need to change one thing here, though. Oh, my goodness. What have I done? Fucking Bush League DM, my goodness. Hold up here. There we go. Correct name applied. So, we are playing our ongoing campaign, I'll scrap the nearest thing, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the remaster version, in our own custom setting of the Spires of Paridar, a setting that has thus far been a setting of occult conspiracy, class disparity, and industrial progress, but it does appear that we found ourselves in a strange new land in the last couple of months. That is the land of our Thuum. And our heroes are learning, our illuminators are learning more about what, where they find themselves and how they may find their way home. But let me introduce you to the stars of our campaign, and with the start of our current chapter, Hunt the Veiled Sun. Go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up is Ingolf.
Yeah, I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Basil Rathbone, who is an Isoki detective or investigator.
Very nice. Next up is Sean.
Hey, I am playing Golags, son of Dak. He is a orc witch detective.
Awesome. Next up is James.
I'm James. I'm playing Sally Jumeir and Azar Ketty, ancient scale martial artist.
Very nice. And last, but certainly not least, is Darren.
Hello there, I'm playing Dr. Adam Ersprung, who is a created flesh warp inventor, and he's now got his newly constructed Igor Mark 8.
Very nice. So I just realized, too, that we're starting a new chapter, which I forgot to... Well, we talked about at the end of last session, but didn't really consider until now. This is also our last session before the Christmas break. We had talked about doing a year in review. We probably should have scheduled it for today, since we're all here and we do have such a long break between now and then. But we did not talk about that before. And so are we doing the year in review now, I guess, or are we doing the year in review when we conclude this arc of the chapter? What do you think, guys?
As you like it. I'm happy with both of those.
Yeah, I've got everything prepped for the actual session today. So if we want to have more time to consider, perhaps we just wait until the end of this chapter. We'll do this chapter will end sometime in like February or March, and then we can do year in review then instead. But what do you guys want to
do? I don't have a strong opinion either. Anybody else?
Me neither.
So, Darren, you decide. That is very simple.
Darren, no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy either way, but I mean, I did think last that was the obvious time to do it, to be honest, just because.
Nicely.
And I think I did mention that, and then we thought, nah, let's just carry on. Did
Ingolf, you mention? I don't remember you mentioning it.
I think it's because Ingolf weren't here, so we thought, well, we'll just carry on because we haven't asked Ingolf, and we didn't know if everyone was going to be here. And
yeah. Well, fuck it. Let's do it today then. We'll do it. We'll get that done, and we'll start. That also will allow whatever you guys uncover in the first chapter of Hunt the Veiled Sun. You will not, you won't find that you forget it between now and the month and a half between, because we're missing the session the 14th. We don't have a session the 2 weeks afterwards. It'll be a month afterwards. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So we first played this campaign. Let's see. I looked at it before. I think it's 2021 is when we started this campaign, which makes it 4 years old now. And here we go. Playlists. Most recent added. Go. Our first session was streamed December 26th, 2021. Yeah. The playlist itself currently has 87 videos in it. which puts this, and I can't remember if that includes the war story stuff in it as well. But
I think
that's
yeah.
That certainly puts us at inching up towards 100, which few of the campaigns on the channels have. This may be the third most played campaign. Now that I think of it, because The Night Below is the most, Legacy of Crystal Shard is a close second. I think this is ahead of Ash, the Astonishing Swordsman and Sorcerers of Hyperborea now. So you've been stuck with me for 4 years, guys.
And we have the videos where we had this Starfinder version of this.
That was our war stories. Was that in addition? Was that as part of the playlist, or did I?
No, I think that's a separate playlist.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then, including the war stories, we've it's got to be over 100 then, because I think did we play 13 sessions of that?
I don't know.
That sounds like a lot, but maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite that many, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are now, and obviously, I guess the other thing that we find ourselves in now is a different, like you're in a different kind of scope of the campaign. 9 levels. We started at first. Did we start at first level? I think we did. Yeah, I think we started at first level for everybody. I can answer that with, because I've got it in Lone Wolf. Did we start at first or third?
I don't think it was first. But...
Yeah, I'd say also we were a little bit advanced, but not so much.
Yeah, I want to say maybe third.
I tend to start PF2 at third just because you get, it gives you a little more space between first level. Okay, what is going on?
Yeah, I've got his PDF here actually.
Oh, nice.
He had 30 hit points, so
that could be first still. You start with more. Here, Spires of Paridar. Level 1. We did start level 1. I think you leveled up pretty quickly.
I think mine's 2, by the looks of that.
Because I think we updated, for a very brief time, I was updating the character sheets too, and I was like, okay, this is a lot of work. Because I've got Golag at level 1, I've got Sally Dumer at level 1, and I've got, so I guess this has now been, these were pre-gens to start with, but obviously you guys have all made these characters completely your own. Where does 87 sessions, I mean, Sean I know has a really long ongoing Invisible Sun game too. Where does 87 sessions put you as far as your other campaigns? Is this the longest, one of the longest?
It would be it would probably it's in the top 4. I'm not sure. So Invisible Suns is since 2018 weekly, so that would be number 1. And of course, also you figure in hours versus sessions, because I had a couple of campaigns I ran that were 3 years bi-weekly, but 8-hour sessions. So we played 8 hours bi-weekly.
You remember when we had the endurance to do that?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine now, but and I kind of at the time knew, I know this is probably strange, but I don't know. It doesn't, it didn't seem strange.
I say that, but like Sean, you and I played 11 hours of games in a 12-hour period, or like within a 24-hour period over the weekend. Yeah. So maybe it's not. Yeah. And some of us also played a 16-hour session this year of Dragonbane.
Yeah.
So I guess bring it on.
Right.
But you're answering.
So yeah, I played. So I ran a Dark Heresy campaign and I ran a Force and Destiny campaign. That was 3 years, and then Invisible Sun in this one. So that's my lineup of.
The rest of you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's as a player, it's certainly the longest campaign I've ever played in. When you count the hours or when you count the time. As a GM, I think I ran longer campaigns, maybe with less hours, because when you only play once a month or so, then This is yeah, and I think maybe the only one that really rivals this is my Uranium Fever campaign, a Cepheus thing, which ran for a couple of years. So I think this is one of the longest, maybe the longest campaign. Anyhow, I'm playing in. So.
Wow. It's a weird coincidence too, because Uranium Fever was the name of my Eurythmics cover band in high school.
Yeah.
So.
It's like a softball pitch in golf.
Really,
too.
as soon as it came out, I'm like, "Yep,
Yep.
that's."
Yep.
What about James and Darren? Where's it fit for you guys?
For me, it's far away the longest as a player, and even more far longest for as a GM, since mine generally don't go on for that long.
You have restraint, is what you're saying.
Or retention problems, one of those. But
yeah. What about you, Darren?
Yeah, likewise, GM-wise, I don't think people put up with me long enough for me to have gone on for more than sort of 6 months at a time, probably. But I've played in quite a lot of long family sort of D&D campaigns with my brother and members of the family. But again, they tend to be sort of 2-hour weekly sessions. So probably more sessions, but when you add up all the hours... it's hard to know because they've gone on for 2 or 3 years, but yeah, so it's probably up there. It's definitely in the top sort of 4 or 5, but mainly D&D campaigns have been long, especially in the older days when I was back at school and stuff. We used to run some crazy long things.
Yeah,
but and like Sean says, we used to put in some massive hours at weekends. You know, you just start at 10 in the morning and finish at 8 at night, and you know, every weekend sort of. So yeah, there were some big hours of D&D back in when our younger years.
We were talking about BattleTech before we went on, but we had one session of BattleTech that I think it's not the last one we played, but it's one of the last ones we played where we did. It was a 16-hour like company versus company thing, which is about 36 units on each thing, and like we started the session just loving the game and like so excited, and by the end of it we're just like, I hate this fucking game. I hate this fucking game. I hate all of you. I don't want to ever look at this again. Oh boy. And that was not when we were as I think I was in law school, so it's not like we were. I mean, we were irresponsible students, I suppose, but like we were certainly not fucking old? Kids. Yeah, this is not kids sitting up. This is adults misusing their time. So,
right.
Yeah. For me, it is like it's definitely one of the most. It's one of the longest. It's one of the most consistent too. Like we've done one war story in this because I really wanted to run fucking Starfinder. But otherwise, like we've been playing this consistently for 4 years now. You know, which is. There's few campaigns that I'm able to run where we had to, because life just gets in the way so often, and we've been fortunate that hasn't happened with. I mean, we've had some folks. Mo started playing this campaign, and unfortunately wasn't able to carry on. John played briefly, and it wasn't able to carry on. But the 5 of us have otherwise been able to pretty much keep that momentum, and for the type of story that we're playing in this thing with the long payoffs and the slow build and the mystery and shit like that, that consistency makes this kind of stuff possible. So it really it's a long roundabout way of me saying thanks once again to you guys for the commitment to the campaign, because it's just that allows this kind of thing to happen. It also doesn't, because we are able to play so frequently, plot points and story beats and whatnot. Something gets lost because it happened 3 years ago, right? But for the most part, everyone's picking up on whatever is going on and able to contextualize that stuff, which is really, really fun for this kind of like conspiracy mystery campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back, you guys are 9th level now. Yeah. We couldn't remember what level you guys started at, so I guess not necessarily in contrast to 1st level. And notwithstanding your most recent geographic shift, how do you think your characters have changed over the course of, sitting down for that first mystery, which was either, I think some of you guys started with Harrow Haunts of Yule, and some of you started with Debts of the Deep Dark Sea, I think was Sally's first mystery. I think it was The Untimely Demise of Major Fitzhume was the first one for Basil. Darren, which one was the first mystery you played? Was it Harrow Haunts or was it...
I did play in at least some of the Christmas sessions.
Yeah.
I think I played in one or two of those. So he was introduced in that, and then I continued from there. So I think it's been pretty much since the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So, looking back on what's happened to these characters and how they developed, what does that perspective look like?
I would say for Golag, probably like spells. He's got like 20 some odd now, and so it's a pretty there's been a lot of thought. Like it's I go when I'm not sure exactly what to attach it to you said, Kevin, but like the amount of time spent on those spells is considerable. Of like not like which ones do you pick, which ones do you prep, like oh my goodness, like it's pretty funny.
In fairness, you're the type of player who does like to carefully consider the decisions you're making for your character. Yeah. So like there's that. But yeah, like for a game like PF2 where there's that many options, it's a position I would not envy, because I certainly wouldn't make those kind of considered decisions. I'd be like, fuck it, here's these three, let's go.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously I enjoy it, but it's kind of comical at times where I think to myself, oh my God, just pick one, that kind of like it's just because, who knows what's going to happen. Like, but you want to, you're just trying to get it just right. That like, well, there's about a 52% chance we do such and such or whatever,
You see, you should just go monk. Then you have the decision: do I punch or do I punch harder?
There you go.
Yeah. I think for Basil it is the changes of the character and some feats and so on, but I think most it is like he was more, or less sad or less grown up in a way when he started out. It turned out that everything was much worse than he already expected it to be. So and there were moments obviously when the character did stuff or felt stuff and so on that made him in a way harder or more focused. I think he died at least twice almost died at least twice. Having
what's his name?
To fight with the with this toolpath thing.
Yeah.
That was quite a change, and then almost drowning against the Kelpie. So there was some memorable moments there.
I think he was almost washed downstream at one point too. Isn't that why he got the underwater marauder?
Yeah, it was because he was. We had this wonderful plan that Basil should be the bait for the Kelpie. So they put a line on me or something and wanted to drag me back, but turned out that the Kelpie is much stronger, so didn't work out. So that's why I took the underwater marauder feature, and and there was some fight in the water as well with some other creatures. So
yeah, and it's funny. We've joked about it, but the rules between the original PF2 and remaster, the fight wouldn't have been quite as unfair with the new rules because of the way grab works now. They changed grab. So we were joking that, they changed it because of Ingolf's thousands of letters about that particular encounter.
Yeah. I'm still writing them today.
Very cool. What about Sally and Dr. Ersprung?
Okay, I'll go next. I I think the most change is that Adam's learned a lot more about his so-called family and connections to his sort of beginnings, if we sort of put it that way. Little Adam and the sister and, you know, potential creator, and there's been quite a lot of tie-ins with that side of it, which although has not been very welcoming and troubles him, at least he sort of knows more. So I think that's been probably the biggest change for him, because he's still, you know, he still seeks to look after the downtrodden and the poor and everything like that. So that hasn't really changed. I don't think he's really changed his character in that sense. He's got better practice at building Igor. That's definitely the case.
We're very soon going to run out of space for Roman numerals in his name.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look it up some soon.
Yeah, but isn't he more in a position where he is responsible for other people?
Yeah, I guess he's grown a bit in the community as well. I think he's a little bit more I think he's always been respected, but he's sort of well known, so more people know of him, and he's a little bit more noticeable, and people probably respect him a little bit more, because he was always looked as a bit of obviously a strange character, and sort of probably sort of shied away from or avoided, whereas he's sort of had to fit into society a bit more, because he's obviously a face for the work he's doing.
Well, much bigger clinic now too, right?
Yeah, he's got, you know, employees or people that are sort of he's responsible for. So I think he does feel quite a lot of weight on his shoulders, which has changed as well.
So you can relate with management sometimes now. See, employee payroll.
Yeah. Do you see my burdens? It is so hard living off the profit of the working class. It is
not as practiced as
labor of the working class.
You know, he's not as practiced. He's not as ruthless.
What is this?
But,
Ms. Dumera?
Oh, I think she's getting more hardened. Recent events have made her a little bit more cruel.
Yeah. It's been tough. That was
messy if Durgush ever gets caught.
Yeah, that was. It's interesting. That's something I'll put down on the list actually to talk about. But yeah, the fight with Durgosh most certainly, and then you have the loss of a longstanding NPC in the game too. You guys haven't had a chance really to deal with that, or really, I mean, nor have you had to, because you've been, you know, found yourself in a new place.
Captured.
But that's what Mr. Mayor will take bloody revenge for.
Very nice.
And for everything related to him.
Yeah. What is the most significant thing that's happened to your characters individually over the course of our campaign? Whether that's something.
Mine. So,
really, Durgosh?
Well, yes, the killing of Ms. Carrington. So that's why. So,
I mean, it's tough to compete with being captured. I mean, it's certainly up there. You know, like if it's not that, that's a being captured and dragged off to another realm. That's a you know, that's a top contender. I don't know what competes with that exactly.
Was it having to shake hands with your mother's lover?
You know, there was so much in that entire package. You know, really I don't think anything's going to top getting captured and dragged off to another realm. But I mean, the whole package of learning about more about mom and I think there was more hope that there was some vein of goodness or something, and it doesn't look that way, so all of that, there was a pretty big package there of certainly I think the whole package, just nothing's going to probably come close to that, I'm thinking. But very, very specifically, the captured and getting dragged off another realm is the winner, I think.
But yeah, this whole sort of I don't know, chapter or whatever we're calling this does revolve quite heavily around Golag, doesn't it? With the whole Miss King and the paintings, and so I think this is
And I'll be a prince soon, so I mean it's really. It's
you're already a prince, ain't you, in theory?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
He just wanted you to say it.
You just haven't got the crown yet.
Yeah.
Well, what about for Dr. Earthsprung or for Basil?
Yeah, I think maybe failing at least once or twice. I mean, I think we should have been able to put an end to this harbingers of sorrow, and that was something that we somehow missed to get rid of them, and then failing again to basically I almost had Gwendolyn Fallow, but then she escaped at the last minute, so that is it's like that was something that he personally would be very much giving himself some hard times about. I think the last fight which we lost, there was such bad luck. I don't know. That was just weird. That couldn't have been avoided in a way. It was destiny in a way. But
the fight with Durgosh and
this was so many roles went wrong and so on. So there's I think, and actually having died almost twice against the Tulpa, I think he's a little bit more forgiving about that now. But. I know. I think this is the first time not being able to. I don't even know how the guy was called that we couldn't finish off, and he escaped. And then Gwendolyn Fallow also is not finished, so that's very sad.
Which guy didn't you finish? Do you mean?
There was this, I think he was a doctor on the ship or something, and he had transformed, and we didn't win the fight, and he basically escaped. So
right, or at least that's when the 9th Medical Corps became involved. When you first met Dr. Green.
Yeah. Yeah, which is in a way a memorable character, I would say, because she's somehow like you have this villainous NSCs which you have to work with. Yeah. But they're not. I mean, she's not without motivation, and she's not evil in the simple sense. And she has her things which are very much against Basil's views or Basil's convictions, but then again, sometimes it's very helpful to be on her good side.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Earthsprung?
I think it'd be difficult for him to not think the little Adam is probably the thing that's certainly emotionally impacted him the most, because he struggles with his whole, creation, and the fact that someone else has been created seemingly by the same person's hands, and he's now sort of cursed with the same affliction that he's got. And so I think emotionally that's probably impacted him the most, and he's concerned about, although we don't get much time to sort of interact with the character or what he's been doing and stuff, but that certainly plays on his mind. And then sort of professionally, it would be like the Institute where Miss King's been taken recently, and some of the doctors there that just frustrate him. He just wants to like grab them and like remove them from the whole sort of profession and shut these places down. But he has to restrain himself because he knows he's just wasting his time, and if he gets rid of one, he'll be replaced by someone else, and the institute will carry on. And so he gets frustrated by some of these people that are locking people up or keeping people in with various mysteries that we've done where people have been badly treated and locked up, and with the whole Tupper thing, his sister was sort of locked away and all them sort of things. So sort of emotionally it's probably little Adam, professionally it's most of the sort of doctors that he has to interact with and drives him mad.
If your character has a nemesis, who is it? You may have more than one. It does sound like you have a grudge list. It would make even dwarves pleased to hear your book of grudges.
I mean, Fallows has got to be on there for everybody, I would imagine.
Yeah, right.
Because we've just had so much interaction with her over various sort of mysteries.
Fallows and Durgosh would seem to be...
Yeah, they'd be hot favourites.
Top two, I think.
Who else?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, all of them are bad. I would agree. But I'm still thinking, or Basil is still thinking, there is the big person behind all of that, who's running the Spires or running Paridar, and he is the one who is ultimately to blame for all of that.
The unknown one.
Yeah, the master of the Spires. So he is not, I mean, we don't know him, but he is not, I think we know that he exists in a way.
Yeah, and it's potentially across different worlds or realms now.
Yeah.
Because the Spires are, there's a sort of connection between the different realms, and these Spires have been seen in various places. So there's quite a strong chance that, they're linked between these different, I don't know if we call them worlds or realms or lands, whatever we call them. Whether it's just one person or one organisation that are connecting them all, or there's different ones in different places, we don't know. But it's definitely someone behind all of it that will become like an arch enemy, I think.
Oh, James, you're muted. Sorry, so Timo.
Sorry. Sally would like to kill Durgash's boss as well.
Golag's uncle.
A 2-for-1.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Torture one, get one free. It's
Only in December.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, any month of the year will do.
I mean, it would fit to have a Black Friday special for the Shadowbinders. So
There you go.
yeah. Boo, Madison. So turning from nemesis, what about allies? Who is your character's closest ally outside of the agency? If you have one.
I could throw an oddball. Let's see, almost an anti-hero. I think that works. An anti-hero version is my father, in a strange sense. Like that you wouldn't. It doesn't jump out at you as someone who's an ally, but at the same time, especially given the latest chapter, he's probably responsible for my egress out of Orcish lands, And I mean, it probably most, and he seems to have been protecting me this whole time. I mean, there could be a twist in there, but because we don't know, I haven't really had that conversation with him, but all information so far leads to that conclusion. And I don't think anyone's more responsible for, Golag's big story than him, in that sense. So oddly, given the entire breadth of the campaign, I probably Pop, probably the old man.
What of the rest of it?
For Golag, anyway.
Goldberry.
Professor Galberry, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I can't really decide. I mean, there's Goldberry, Watson, Fowle. These are, but nowadays, so we have this Annabelle O'Loughlin, and so the others. These are, I think, like our counterparts in a way. I like the interaction that we have with
the IOU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From becoming, I don't know. We are not friends, but we are not enemies either. But competitors in a way. So that was nice. I mean, that is. Yeah.
And what about the Whisper network? That's one day going to call in the payment for the.
I don't know.
Well, they don't exist, so that doesn't matter.
It doesn't exist. There's no Whisker network. So
yeah. I think maybe we will find traces of that here, and or something like that. So there might be some evolution. I'm not really sure. I'm not. So I had a clear impression what Henri Daniel was. But he convinced me in a way that he isn't. So he is more concerned about the city and the people within the city than I imagined he would be. So he is not. I don't think he is. He's a dangerous person, but not as much as the villain as he maybe wants himself to be, in a way. He seems to be less the power-hungry person than he pretends to be.
So he's a villain, not a monster?
Yeah, or maybe he has some very redeeming qualities that shine through from time to time.
I think he showed a bit of weakness with the whole Annabelle Carrington. Well, he would probably see it as a weakness. He seemed genuinely worried and concerned, where in the past it's sort of just business. I think that's what Ingolf's saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was a strong ally until her grisly demise recently. I would have said. And then for Adam, Dr. Abraham Raycroft used to be his friend, his mentor, but he's still undecided what's going on with that whole relationship. But certainly up until fairly recent, he would have been the person he would turn to on a regular basis for help and assistance.
That actually brings up an interesting point, because you guys met Dr. Raycroft's daughter as well. And you had actually not responded to her about her application.
Yeah, I mean, things got out of hand quite quickly before we got to resolve that, and then obviously the whole sort of Annabelle thing and the kidnapping, and we've never got back to that. But yeah, she's another one that is added to the list of concerns and worries for the Doctor. So that'd be something to hopefully get back to one day.
I wonder if there's a Paridar court equivalent of noting in default when you fail to appear for an application. Okay. Any other allies that particularly stand out? or at least that are strong in the characters' minds.
I mean, originally Vesta King felt like an ally of sorts, but
more of a source of information, I think, than a lie, maybe.
Doesn't mean she didn't have a fine eye, though, and a good hand. But yeah.
Okay.
I guess we got notable sort of mentions for sort of members of staff. Sort of
Sylvan, yeah.
Claire, Tanaba, is it Tabana? I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, Tabiner, right?
Yeah,
Tabiner,
yeah. Sylvan should be mentioned.
And Cyrus at the clinic, and various sort of new doctors, but they don't get involved very much. But they're there in the background. Betty, all the people that work at the clinics there. So
and they had you did have that. I mean, kind of a confrontation with Dr. Risewell, right, with respect to the operation of the clinic.
Yeah, he was concerned. So yeah, they've popped up, and they, like I say, they're allies, but they're sort of in the background most of the time.
If we're speaking of background, I guess I'd bring up Golag's climbing instructor at the Orc Swimming and Climbing Club in Paridar.
Yeah.
What was his name again? Sure.
Sadly, he suffered a fall and died. So whatever his name was, he will never appear on.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. It's Orcish. It's hard to pronounce.
It's really quite a freakish fall as well, too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Father Ezekiah. He was this no nonsense clergyman who was not on our side basically until we really needed him, and then he was, which was quite cool. So I like that. This is whenever you see characters that basically have a motivation that is somehow a little bit off to what the group is about. So if you only interact with them through their own motivation, that is sometimes a little bit flat. But if they want other stuff as well, and that works out, that is nice. I would say I missed his name, or I lost his name. The one who's running this night order is also memorable, but not someone who is helping us really.
Yeah. Where is he here?
It's not Archibald, is it?
No, Archibald Morgan is the guy.
Archibald is
your missing friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was only Lord something, and he was not.
Yeah, Lord Sergeant. Lord Sergeant Reginald Griffin.
Yeah, he was. He's
fairly plain talking. Yeah,
terrifying figure in a way. Yeah. So. Yeah, and he has his own goals, and you maybe stand in the way of them, and you have to route him around you, basically.
Mm-hmm. And
so Barnabas Steele is mostly talked about, but not
experienced.
Not experienced anymore. He's not showing up somewhere, and I think at some point we will find him being, I don't know, tortured or something. I don't know.
Barnabas Steele was the one who took Vesta King into custody as well during that whole. While you guys, I think it was while you guys were trying to deal with what's his name, Mr. Saxon.
Yeah, but isn't he undercover or hiding from his own his own knighthood because his own fellow knights, because they investigate him for something?
No, Morgan, as far as I remember. So Archie is missing. They don't know where...
only missing, yeah.
Yeah, Archie's missing, and they don't know where.
Why?
Yeah, he is. But no, Steele's still very active within the order.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I confused the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Archie is the one who's friends with
Yes. Yeah.
Sally's best bud. What's her name? Daphne Lagrange. It was Daphne and Professor Watsonfold and Archie were all sort of like childhood friends, and they took Sally into or at least Daphne took Sally into her, circle. We haven't seen her in a while, actually, as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we need to have a mind map to study before playing the game now.
Any others that you want to talk about?
Durgosh? Or not Durgosh. I'm sorry, not Durgosh. My Orcish...
Skulldug?
What's
Skulldug.
That? Skulldug. Yeah, Skulldug should be thrown in there for a mention.
Yep.
It's subject to, the ebb and flow of father.
Yeah, that was a challenging period for Golag when...
Oh, yeah.
Dad was refusing to meet with him, and IOU was fucking up your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, no information.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easier, I think, to if you knew what was going on. But given there's a lot going on, but a lack of information definitely.
Mm-hmm. So let's maybe turn to losses. We talked about this a little bit. In the course of the campaign, we've seen because it's not a pre-written story. We're playing this as a game, and we're going where the dice take us to. You guys have had a couple of significant setbacks at different times. You guys want to talk a little bit about those? I mean, the most recent one is that fight, like you talked about with Durgosh. When you are in a game as role-playing and investigative focused as like this one is, when you have that kind of unexpected result, it does feel, I think it can feel discordant with the otherwise sort of unspooling of whatever investigation and story that you're normally doing. But you guys have rolled with every single one of those thus far. The most significant, where everybody got the shit kicked out of them, was Durgosh, but you guys have come close with some other ass kickings before. How do you guys feel that, I guess, like, how does that feel in relation to does that feel at odds with the unflowing of the game, or does it feel like that's just, when there are those points of violence and danger, that's where it can really go one way or the other, where the game does support that?
I mean, there is the somewhat inevitable, not true inevitable, but of RPGs that it is true with Pathfinder that, as far as, like, for example, Golag has the view through his spells, and they are, no question, fairly concentrated towards combat. So it's not it's not exclusively, but inevitably there's and some of the hardest decisions are this combat spell or that combat spell. So that's a certain view. It's a certain you only get to bring those into play. I spend a fair amount of time thinking about them, and what to prep and what level to prep them at. And
you've heard it, guys. Golag is thinking a lot of times to try and inflict violence on anything around him. So that's the way I heard that. But
that's bound to come up during negotiations, and jeez.
I don't mind having the regular performance review, Golag, but do you have to summon a horde of skeletons to stand behind you when we do? Like,
it'll be taken out of context as usual. That's the usual kind of. But so yeah, it's interesting. It's a little bit interesting juxtaposition because, as you say, there'll sometimes be quite a bit of time between combats, and it'll mainly focus on investigation. And then yet when a combat comes up, on the one hand, obviously it can be a negative in the story, especially if we weren't the protagonist or we weren't the proactively seeking it. But then on the other hand, I'm like, oh, I get to take such and such as, the following spell out for a spin because that's the only time when it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So the violence, the law. I mean, I think a significant loss of a combat is it's a milestone, I think, in a game. Sometimes like I feel like in a campaign, I've definitely had the thought. I think the thought's almost part and parcel that as a GM, part and parcel that until a PC goes down, and that doesn't necessarily mean death, but that it's not really a campaign. The tone hasn't been set. Like if the PCs don't feel actually threatened and no one ever goes down, do they actually feel threatened? Until you're at least dragging a PC off the battlefield, that finally everyone goes, okay, all right, I see how it is. There's things at risk here. So this one, the fact that you're all captured and dragged off to another realm is, it's inevitable that's a pretty inarguable. That's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, it fits. First of all, the world is supposed to be very dark in a way, and we sometimes we make it pretty because we are somehow on the rich end of the world, so we don't see the poverty too much. So that is one thing I would argue. So there is all this violence and bad things happening all around. So that catches up from time to time. And I don't think that it's too much. I think it works, and so our characters are always challenged to find a way to give the best possible solution. Like when we were at the sea, and we had to basically, maybe the people in the village were not really to blame for what happened, but on the other hand, somehow they were, and so they had to take what was done to them, basically. So that is maybe a little bit more than Basil would have wanted to, but so there was always this, and we failed quite a lot of times in a way to rescue everyone. So that's not the case. So there has been one infamous incident where someone was falling off a train, I remember. So.
Falling is an interesting way of putting it. It's funny you mentioned that, not saving anyone, because we've talked about this before, but like one of the inspirations for the campaign in general was the Tom Baker era of Doctor Who. Because at that time I was binging the whole. It was that particular Christmas was when my folks were supposed to come out. They weren't able to come out, so I ended up just like watching a shit ton of those 70s and 80s Doctor Who's. And then we ran this campaign at the end of the shortly afterwards, and that's one of the things, like the body count of that era of Who is huge, and that was part of the goal with this, was to capture that sort of Victorian, investigative stuff from other sources of media, but also the feeling of scale of threat and the limits of what you can get done. When one of the things that's interesting about that era is you see, like, the villains are memorable, I think, from that, in part because like they get to do a lot of what their plan is before they're foiled, and that often has a body count associated with it. So that's sort of, it's interesting to hear that's what your experience has been in the campaign, because that's definitely been one of the major inspirations for the whole game from the get-go. What about Sally and Adam? What do you think about the game when it dictates the outcome of the story, particularly for the combat?
Combat-wise, I think Adam always finds himself in a sort of torn position of like trying to protect people, by going into combat, or try and help people by trying to patch them up before they go down? And should he concentrate on like getting Igor to try and like potentially remove adversaries or take people out, or get him into a more strategic position? And he always finds he hasn't got enough time to do everything and gets caught out, and always sort of regrets not getting to save, you know, Basil is, as he's going up and down like a yo-yo, sometimes getting knocked when it comes to Mr. Saxon, you know, and things like that.
I mean, with Mr. Saxon, like that was the first fight with him. I'm pretty sure I scored a crit with crazy damage, like first hit. Yeah. So like, yeah, that was there was very little that Dr. Earthbound could have done there. I appreciate him feeling what he was feeling, but that did seem to be decided by the dice.
He did get quite a lot of satisfaction with like driving over him though, in the company vehicle.
It's been good that you managed to hide the rise in insurance premiums from Golag too, so that's great.
Yeah, we still haven't mentioned the whole repair bill for the vehicle. But,
yeah, there'll be new rules about the carriage in the new year.
Although the destruction of the Topum machine actually may have, whether that damage was done or not is an open question.
Oh, that's a thing of the past. It's all forgotten. Okay.
Yeah. That might make the tulpa worth it. Might need more tulpas.
And then regards to sort of losses, I think I was going to mention what Ingolf said about Dag on the Sea. Adam sort of quite regrets what happened there with the whole, you know, all the creatures coming out of the water and sort of attacking the townsfolk. It seemed a bit of a sort of sledgehammer approach to deal with the situation. He was convinced that we'd be able to like turn them round or get them out of their weird mindset or break the curse or whatever we thought it was. But so he sort of regrets that. And then obviously recently, I think he was the only one that saw the actual killing of Annabelle Carrington like in person. Yep. So it's like vivid in his mind, you know, Durgush like basically murdered her in front of him. So yeah, that's etched in his mind that, you know, he could have done more if it had been quicker, but he was vastly outnumbered and outskilled in that situation, and he'd have just become another victim himself, I think, if he'd have sort of gone rushing in, which he was going to. So, yeah, that's another one of his sort of regrets when it comes to combat and losses. So that hit quite hard.
And that's interesting because I think like one of the things. So James, I want to hear from you as well too. But that's what my hope was with, especially with that kind of turn, is that there's some story that can come from that, and it's not something I would have planned. Right? If I had put my thumb on the scale and just like intentionally kicked the shit out of you guys, that would not have been a very fun, encounter, and it wouldn't have felt like there was. It wouldn't have felt like there was any agency for you guys or your characters, right? It would have just been something I'm dictating. It's kind of the fun of, doing these stories as role-playing adventures is that you don't know what's going to happen, right? As soon as you leave things to the dice, not just like, classic Call of Cthulhu conundrums of like, they didn't get the clue because they didn't roll well enough. I mean, like, shit, they lost, or shit, they didn't, manage to stop them from doing whatever. It's interesting from my perspective to be able to say, all right, well, then this is the next logical thing that happens. What happens next?
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think in those situations, especially with that sort of searching the house, looking for Miss Carrington and stuff, that everyone was playing their characters, Yeah. The wise thing to do was, I'll just wait here for everyone to regroup, and we'd just like go around together, and it'd be nice and, well, it won't be safe, but it'll be safer, Whereas the doctor was like, no, we've got to find her because her life's in danger, and it was very close to him like running in, like I say, and just probably getting murdered himself and just coming down and finding like multiple bodies rather than just Miss Carrington. Because you know, I've got strong beliefs that that's the sort of thing he would do. And he just about held it together and just thought, well, she's got no chance if we both go down. She's got a very slim chance if I, you know, survive long enough till the others catch up. But I try to like seriously think, what would he do in this situation? Not is the best tactical thing to do every time. And I think the others do that as well. Or I like to think they do.
What about you, Sally? Your thoughts on the combat and losses that result therefrom and how that relates to the story?
Yeah, well, you know, combat's in theory her thing. So, but when the dice are cold, sometimes it's that could be the struggle. But that's her. She feels that's her part, along with her ability to infiltrate. Is her part of the team. So the invisible scaling of everything in sight. But yes, failures, it never really mattered before. But as I said, this last one was...
So you didn't care so much about the townsfolk. Yeah, we remember.
Oh, well, exactly. I'm more Old Testament. And, given that what had been done to her people, Sally was bringing down the wrath of that. And just as Durgosh and his boss will get zero mercy.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've talked in previous kind of retrospectives that there's other games that could have been used for this type of campaign. Pathfinder 2 does have a narrative metacurrency, but it's a very, very light touch one. You know, you get one reroll. That's really all you can do with it. You can't alter a scene. You can't make use of an ability you don't have. You can't, there isn't the kind of more intrusive stuff. So it is a mystery and whatnot, but the letting the dice fall where they may element of the play does feel more old school than, say, if we were playing a story game where there's more opportunity to be like, no, this thing is not going to happen, or I've got some more potent narrative metacurrency that's going to allow me to really intervene and guarantee a success when I'm going to be, the dice say I'm failing. I think that maybe speaks to, this is I'd rather be lucky than smart thing. I didn't plan it that way, but speaking to your comment about it being a dark setting in golf, that's something that I think supports that, where there isn't that level of control over outcomes the way there can be in some other more story focused RPGs.
Yeah, and I mean, from the story perspective, I quite like that we don't succeed 100%. I think almost never did we succeed to the full degree. There was always some casualties. There was always some compromises to be made. So somehow I think that is the name of the game if you're playing in this kind of era. So I think that's it. And it was so in the beginning. I remember when we had the decision whether we wanted to have the Ghoul Father alive or leave him alive. And we could have destroyed him at that moment. And I think it was Carl who said he was sure that he was taking care of the children in a better way than what was happening to them before. So
well, after Fitzhume had that's something we have yet to revisit, but there's a coterie of vampire urchins out there somewhere, purportedly under the control or tutelage of the Ghoul Father. And that is what actually Sir Barnabas Steele was looking at, pretty aggressively investigating, right? Yeah. So if it's interesting because like there's been times before where we've talked about like, well, what other system might suit this. I'm not. This is the year. I think the first year where I've really, not that I felt that we should be using another system for it, but where I felt like there would be a stronger in certain areas to use different systems for it. I don't feel that way anymore. I really feel like this has been a terrific fit for this specific campaign, which might also, like, because we've been playing this from pre-gens and just seeing where it's going, it's also the campaign has become shaped by what the game makes possible for the characters and how it resolves task resolution and combat and stuff. So it's kind of inextricable.
I'd say that PF2 is one of the strongest all-round systems I know of.
Yeah, and I think that it doesn't have the flashiness of some things with like exploding dice or other things or whatnot, but that also means that you get more consistency. You don't have those like, well, fuck, I think that the games that I like best that have exploding dice mechanics also incorporate ways to mitigate against that, which means that, like, I'm not sure that necessarily speaks to a strong design decision to have it in there then, if you also have to incorporate something to be like, yeah, but not now. Not quite that way. Batman is something we've run a fair amount of times recently, and I love that there's a mechanic in there. It's great having the exploding dice because it makes the heroes feel like fucking superheroes when those explode. And it's fun seeing a dice go from like, well, I'm going to roll my 1d6 and I got a result of 32 on it. That's fucking cool. I do like that they have a meta currency so I can mitigate, be like, okay, that hit didn't count against this villain because otherwise we're done, for the encounter. This is nice. It doesn't have that extreme result, but it also doesn't have to account for that potential to disrupt the expectations of an encounter. You still get crits, you still get whatever else, but it's not like, well, fuck, that's way out of the bounds of what I expected from this.
Yeah, I think with Savage Worlds, we would have seen more freakish rolls, and then it sometimes destroys the illusion that something is really a threat or so, because if you just roll long enough, you will have this way of exploding dice, and then you one-shot the evil enemy. And in a way, Pathfinder 2nd edition does not allow that to happen. So you can't really one-shot the bad guy in the end. That's almost impossible.
But sadly, that means that in our 4 years, we've never had the invisible turtle.
Yeah, the Rollmaster. This is my long way of saying we're going to be converting over to Rollmaster now, guys. I don't think I have a single class that matches up with any of your characters, but I look forward to seeing what new things you might play. Yeah, I will say the one game system that I did I ended up just trying to take in ideas from it is because we played a lot of Fantasycraft and I've done prep for a lot of Spycraft. That system has a lot of interesting. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's a game that is an outgrowth of 3.5, but in a different direction than what PF2 went, and a different direction than what D&D 4th went. It's a terrific game. Both of them seem to be terrific games. I haven't run Spycraft yet, but Spycraft in particular has a ton of great subsystems and specific sets of rules for like chases and interrogations and infiltrations and whatnot. And they're similar to the subsystems you see in PF2, but to be honest, much better. They just have much more architecture to them, and they interplay with a lot of the abilities of the character class abilities and the things you can pick as feats and things like that. Ultimately, it's not there are other reasons why that isn't a good fit for this type of game, or for this particular game. But if I was going to run something like this again, that would be one I might consider, because I think there's some really interesting ideas in that Spycraft thing, especially if you make use of some of the supplements that let you add in some fantasy elements. Magic is the biggest challenge for trying to do Cognates with both Fantasycraft and Spycraft because it's so different from D&D.
So a mechanic I like, which is somehow similar but different, is with Imperium Maledictum, you get superiority if you find out stuff about the enemy, if you get additional information, and if you get some clues. So in a way that makes the legwork before more tangible in the game. I wouldn't say that this is not important in our campaign, because we got some benefits out of what we did before, that for sure. But it's not like you see with each roll you get your plus 10% or so. That is quite different.
Yeah, that and subtlety as well.
Like avoiding the attention of others.
Mechanic. That if you have drawn no attention to yourself, then you have advantage on certain sneaky rolls, and when you are very overt and kicking down the doors and you've got the reputation, you get advantage on frightening people.
Yep.
It's like the heat mechanic in Night's Black Agents too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so that said, like I think PF2 has been great. The remaster, is now at least 2 years old. When did the? Yeah, it's crazy. It's been that much time, eh?
Yeah.
Because I was checking the publication copyright.
What Woofrup would be like with this framework, since it's got such interesting character careers. Like you could, there's not too many games where you could literally be a lawyer, like an actual barrister. Sort of. There's not, they're out there, but Woofrup comes to mind with the, it's I don't think it has a clerk, but it basically has all those characters. The poppers and the lawyers and the and it can be a very urban game. So where you never really leave the city. You're in a big city, and maybe you venture out once in a while, kind of like we do. You venture out maybe once in a while. Yeah. But for the most part, you're dealing with nobles and the corruption and the poverty. It's got a little similarity, a little bit of overlap there, and so I've wondered how.
No, I agree. It would be an interesting pair. It's also because I think we both love Warhammer Fantasy IV. Sure. So it's definitely, but I think it's interesting to think of how that campaign, especially like some of our arcs in that we've had a couple of things where there's been extended combat of like clearing out a Skaven warren and stuff, but there's also been like extended periods like in this campaign where it's really the skills, the non-combat skills that are driving whatever you're doing. And that game also has terrific game architecture for making that shit make sense. And with some of the add-ons they've that have come with some of the supplements for it. Yeah, I think it would be that one would be a good, an interesting fit for this kind of campaign too, for sure. And Imperium Maledictum also, you could very easily adapt some stuff from that into Warhammer Fantasy, because it's the core mechanic is if not identical, it's very, very similar.
So we wonder if any of that will work its way back to 5th edition.
Yeah, it's interesting because their commitment to incompatibility, it'll be interesting to see. But like remaster was supposed to be completely backwards compatible too, and we've got like 3 re-releases that were supposed to not be coming with it too. I don't want to grouse about it. I did check; it was 3 years or 2 years old now. It's 2023 is when the remasters started coming out. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on other games that? Vaesen is one that is very similar in tone, but I don't think I don't think the mechanics are quite as robust as this. So you'd feel
in Vaesen we would all be dead already. So that's true. You basically you can't. The moment you are in a fight, you almost surely have lost, unless you have a streak of very lucky rolls.
Yeah, fair enough with the monsters.
Because we'd have had all these fights and Sally wouldn't have hit anybody yet.
Yeah, that is My enduring memory of running that the first time, and I think I've said this before too, is like Jeff built this character that was all about kicking the shit out of people, and when it finally came time for him to shine, Jeff's dice took over, and he just got the shit kicked out of him by a bunch of basically like back alley thugs, like guys he should have been handing their asses to them. And he totally fucked up his rolls, and he's like, I got this, fellas. Steps forward and gets beaten up by a bunch of urchins. And I think
Sean and I played in a game, and when it got to combat, we were just flailing around. It was just arms, legs everywhere, and nothing happening.
Two games I think would be interesting because of some of the well, one is you could certainly and probably rightly accuse me of recency bias, but Fading Suns. Seems like it's got a really Fading Suns 4th edition has a very well fleshed out set of rules for doing things beyond combat. Like there's express like social combat rules and social combat maneuvers. There's also some interesting narrative metacurrency stuff that goes on in that game, and some of the 2D20 games. I think in the range of complexity of around like Fallout and Acton Cthulhu, like where there's more meat to it than just like what John Carter has or Dishonored has, but not quite to like Conan or Infinity, where we've got so much stuff going on. I think that would make for an interesting thing. Again, recency bias may apply here too, but the basic fantasy or basic role playing, forgive me, the Chaosium one. That's interesting because it's career focused. It's all like what you get out of Call of Cthulhu, you get all of that, but it also has ways of incorporating magic and monsters and other sort of optional rules too. I think that might be an interesting thing. It doesn't have the clear architecture that you get with like how the witch is a unique class to play and how the inventor is a unique class to play. But you do like an investigator and a kung fu, fish lady. We can do that with those rules.
Yeah, I would have a very outfield thing. So City of Mist would be something I would consider because it is in its core. It's these detective stories, and each of our characters has this kind of weird supernatural arc somehow. So there's also this incorporated in the game. So that would be something you could play with, and it would result in a totally different game for sure, because the characters would act in a way a little bit differently, because you can force the supernatural to appear and so on. So that would be interesting.
Actually, Cult Divinity Lost.
Yeah, I thought that too
as well. Yeah, and it's a little darker than this, but we ran again this year a pickup game, just playing a dark fantasy one, and it was quite good. Like it ended up being a really, really fun session. But I think the thing with those is we've seen times with that game where story has just sort of sludged along, because we're trying to, so much of it is the players taking actions and then figuring out when the game's going to interact with it, or shit happens super fucking quick. Like in the span of a 2-hour, 3-hour session in that one, we came to grips with the characters, introduced them and whatnot, and they basically took down a major enemy in it, which was fucking fun for a session, but that's some pretty breakneck stuff if you're running a more contemplative and long-running campaign. But there isn't other stuff in that game I think you would have to make a real clear decision of, okay, when are we letting the game rules interact with this in order to help drive the story forward? And with this game, I guess we know that. If you're picking up fights, if we're rolling initiative, we're getting in combat. Otherwise, we're in one of those exploration mode, downtime mode things. Any other thoughts on how the game interacts? I mean, obviously Batman would be a terrific fit for this, clearly.
Yeah, I had thoughts that I had similar. It's not like a cookie cutter. It's not a perfect fit, but yeah, those City Mists, and I was thinking the same thing, City Mist and
So
and Cult.
A close parallel as well is because I mean, 5th edition and Pathfinder 2 are at their most basic, sort of trying to achieve a similar type of play experience. The release of some stuff for the Iron Kingdoms version, the Iron Kingdoms 5th edition stuff recently, and the upcoming release finally of Victoriana from Cubicle 7, which is also 5th edition compliant. I'm interested to see what kludged together thing there is there, because you can get a pretty close match for everybody's actual classes as they are into Iron Kingdoms right now. The one mismatch is the Inventor. The Inventor, you can't quite get the same fit for that particular character class, but everybody else, yeah, you can get something similar to it, and it does some similar things, but it's just not quite the same, particularly with the whole like robot pet thing. And that's such a core part of Dr. Ursprung's character, not just in combat, but like Igor is present all the time in most scenes as well, right?
Yeah. And I also had the thought of our earlier mention of that I thought Imperial Maledictum with let's say the Infractionist patron, for example, could be a reasonable fit for that you don't have a permanent patron, that you're actually a mercenary company that's a fix-it crew, and you have obviously magic user, psyker, and you're not going to. I mean, once again, you're not going to have Dr. Ursprung's not going to. I mean, you can have doctors for sure in 40,000, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much crafting. I don't recall too much crafting in that game. So Igor would be a tough fit. I mean, they've got mechanical. For example, the Imperial Police. What are they called? The Arbites. The
Arbites, yeah.
They have the mechanical hawks and mechanical hounds.
Yep.
And so there's some of that. You could possibly kludge that together a little bit.
Truth told, I think Imperial Maledictum as a starting point might be a better fit for this type, specifically for a Victorian era type thing than what Warhammer Fantasy would be, because it'd be easier just to like take the names off, refit things, because you can fit more unusual combos between like concept and profession. I can't remember what they're called in Imperial Maledictum, but you would only need to have stuff like, yes, they're in the rule book, it's called a bolt pistol or whatever else. You just fucking call it whatever you need to, right? It's just those stats are balanced for a game. We just need to rename what those things would be, and I think it would be a good starting point. Imperial Maledictum was a lot of fun as an investigative game when we ran it, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Darren, what about you? Any thoughts on who's not just yelling out stuff from their shelf?
I was going to say, you guys have got way more systems under your belts, as it were, than I have. So I'd probably...
One thing I think your brother might have run for you. What about Monster of the Week?
He didn't actually run that. I think he...
Oh, cause I know you played it before, because he's the reason I picked it up again.
Yeah, he had played it, but he never ran it. So, I haven't played that one. But I've played some of the ones you mentioned, like Colt and some of the others. But I can't see us playing a different system just because we've been in it so long that it just works and everyone sort of knows what everyone else does to an extent and what people are good at. And I'm sure you could try and sort of force it into it. It'd feel like you're forcing another system or forcing the characters into another system and trying to make it work and trying to get this to. So I think it'd be quite a hard task, especially the longer you go. So once you get to 9th level, if it was 2nd or 3rd level, it'd probably be an easier thing to convert. But I just don't think there's the need for it, to be quite honest. I mean,
one of the things I'll mention too,
discuss, but
for doing those kinds of switches too, it's because we've in Night Below we've switched games a couple of times. In Legacy Crystal Shard we've switched a couple of times, and the thing that's easy to forget is what you see as a DM as important for those switches isn't. You may not be picking up on something that is like important to a character. There may be some bullshit magic item that they never use and they never think of or whatnot, so you've forgotten about it, but it's always been in the back of their mind, you know, sitting on their character sheet to be like, okay, well, I need to account for this particular thing in that.
I've done it a few times, and sometimes it can be a nice change, but then other times it can be quite jarring and sort of, I used to enjoy this game, and suddenly something's missing or something's not quite right, or, you know, it can really sort of turn you against it almost. But I haven't done it that often, to be honest.
No, and it has with one of the, like for the Night Below one, most of the characters have changed over really well. The one that's been the most substantial change is John's character, because John's character ended up, we can't do a multi-class, I can't remember what it was. He was a rogue, I don't know, say illusionist, but rogue wizard of some kind. I think it might have been illusionist. And it just when he went to CNC illusionists also get these healing spells. So his character became something different when we made the switch over to that. And then when we switched over from that to 5th edition, we ended up going with a subclass of Bard to carry over the healing thing because he liked having that, and then had to sort of fit that. And like that's always when you are making a switch from one game to another game, there's never going to be that like directly on par. The closest we've found to Dr. Earthsprung for any of the conversions that we've had has been Starfinder 1st edition. Because like the way they modeled the pet, as it were, in that is very similar to how it worked in this. But then Sally was a really tough fit in that one because there isn't a straightforward monk class. Goleg also was a lot less powerful just because the way that magic worked in that game is a lot more depowered. At least it was in 1st edition. 2nd edition is absolutely on par with Pathfinder 2nd edition now. Because they're like, fuck it. let the magic users magic.
A couple other, I'll throw out there, Zweihander. Zweihander might, similar to Wolfrup in that way. It's got a lot of careers, a lot of possibilities there.
Well, and with the kind of kludged together rules we've used when we play it too, we're taking a little bit from Blackbirds and a little bit from Zweihander, or from Flames of Freedom. I think we played Pathfinder 2nd edition Adventure with Zweihander a couple months last year. Yeah, in 2024 is when we did the mashup games, and it worked great. It felt like the characters felt like Pathfinder 2 characters for sure. What were the other ones, right?
I was going to throw out there a little bit of an outside bid. Shadow of the Demon Lord would be an interesting urban possibility.
Yeah, like I think that one more so than. I don't know if this is a non sequitur. I'm not going to just complain about Shadow of the Weird Wizard. Shadow of the Weird Wizard just released a like almost complete overhaul of the combat system and the monsters. Oh yeah, they've completely reworked the difficulties of monsters and the health of them. Like the entire thing has been reworked. If you've downloaded a copy or whatnot, you're going to want to check that out. I mention only because like the combat system in that particular game I think is just fucking awful, and it is different from what it was in Shadow of the Demon Lord. I think we had a better experience with Shadow of the Demon Lord than we did with Weird Wizard, and maybe they fixed it. These changes have rebalanced things, but yeah. For the character creation, I think that definitely would be the opportunity to have like a pet and something like that in there. So that would be the fit for that. But anyway,
I would say also go for the Dark Eye. There you are. Because I feel that rolling 1d20 is a bit weak sauce.
We should be rolling 5. Now, ich liebe das schwarze Auge. Augen? Schwarze Augen.
Augen. Okay. Only one, yeah.
Entschuldigung.
No problem. I don't really, I think the rules are very, very much tied to the world or to the lore of the world. So that would be a very, you could just do 3 D20 rolls. That would be easy to port, but the system itself, it would be hard in a way.
It would be magic in particular, and figuring out how to model the robot.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be also like a lot of kludging and whatnot, but Dragonbane would be an interesting thing. You would have to invent a lot of rules for a lot of characters, but the thing that just is, I think, that is interesting about Dragonbane is the focus on emotional states is always interesting with that one. Because I think we see players comment on and role play the emotional states of their characters more explicitly in that game than I think any other game. It's the most melodramatic RPG I think I've run. And I mean that in the best possible way. It's very, very interesting to see players focus on, when they're trying to get the reroll for their abilities by being like, that really pissed me off, or like, I think I'm scared, or I think I'm whatever, right? Like whatever condition you accept in order to get that reroll is an interesting little bit of emotional depth to the characters that you just don't expressly see in other RPGs.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking Traveler. I was going to throw Traveler out there, but the psionics would have to hold up, for the magic.
Yeah, I mean, you've got what's the sort of planet game that Cepheus puts out?
Yeah, there's Sword of Cepheus. You could use that.
Oh yeah, Sword of Cepheus, right?
Yeah. So my name is in the playtest. I know a bit about that game. Yeah. So but it has this traveler thing where the power level is between the characters is really not on the same level at all. So some are really powerful and others have Steward 1. And so that's a little bit the problem with the system. So you can play with that, and you can, but whenever it comes to combat or to decision making, then you have two characters. The character who wields magic is really so much more powerful than anyone who has no magic, because he can basically do stuff from afar and you can't do anything about it. So
I think I have, by obligation, I have to mention Shadowrun as well. Shadowrun 6th edition was a lot of fun when we run it, and I think you would have to do a lot of changes to the game, or at least to have some things, but and again, the inventor is the one that is the most challenging fit, I think, because like the nature of the relationship and the interconnection between Igor, between your pet and your character is something that it is closer to like a ranger or something that has a summoner in PF1.
Shadowrun, he would be a rigger, and this would be his drone. So
but that doesn't quite, like, it's very close. It's as close as you could get if you were doing a Shadowrun version of the character. But if you're wanting to have something like this, it would be closer to like a bound spirit, but even then, that's still, you're imposing a different set of rules on something that is at its core technological. But listen, we're past our mid-session break. Why don't we take our mid-session break right now, and then we'll come back. I want you to contemplate, in our absence, my next question, so people don't hear talking about games for the next hour and a half. What is your favorite mystery that we've played? So, if you don't remember the name of it, that's fine. We can try and remember afterwards. So for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Oh, and I'll say as well, if anyone has any questions in chat, we didn't announce that we were going to do this. Put them in chat, and we'll address those questions as we go through. So back in 5 minutes.
Would that work? Maybe not.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Just double checking. Okay, perfect. Hope everyone's having a great start to the weekend. Epps, Wayne, THX. Hope you're having a great start to the weekend. Great Sunday, at least. Okay. Just writing down my ideas as well, too, before I forget for our questions. Have all right. Oh, nice, Apps. You're making your way through the playlist. Hope you're enjoying the mysteries. I didn't realize we had 87 sessions in it, too. I mean, I guess that stuff creeps up on you, but yeah, certainly more adventures than I thought. Time just flies. All right. Boy, speaking of time flying, geez, Louise, we're already 2 hours into the stream. Although we didn't start quite on time, I suppose. So that is... And I'll rename the stream as well afterwards. Okay. Hello! Oh, nice, Eps, with Adventure Pass. Cool.
So, hello.
Hello. Hello. Okay, we're just waiting for James and Darren. Oh, James is back. So we're just waiting for Darren then. It is rare he's the last back. To be honest, it's usually me. It's so cold, or it has been so cold. Actually, it's only -3 right now, so it's getting even warmer. And the Banana's new booties and jacket show up on Tuesday, so I am very excited for that. Because so many people use ice melt around here. Her fucking, it burns her paws when we walk across it. So, you know, there's a lot of, because of the fluctuating temperatures with Chinooks, there's a lot of like freeze thaw. So to avoid getting sued for slip and fall stuff, you have to regularly apply ice melt or sand, and most people apply ice melt, which just burns the shit out of dogs' paws.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing how the suspender boots go.
It's pretty cool. It was really, honestly, one of my favorite things I've stumbled across. Really made Anna's Black Friday. All right, so did anybody else think of any other games while they're on their break?
Other games? No, we were thinking about the campaigns.
The campaign, there we go. So the only two ones I'll mention is, depending on whether you wanted to focus more on the notwithstanding some, you know, we've had difficult encounters sometimes, the math in Pathfinder 2 is exceptional. So it's really well balanced. You can have reliably fun and challenging combat encounters without getting it too wrong, as long as you follow their recommendations. Whether you're leaning more into that element of Pathfinder 2 or whether you're leaning in more into the investigative story stuff, hero system or GURPS, I think would be an interesting too, because GURPS more so has a lot of advantages that make your character tie directly in with the setting, whether it's with contacts or allies or whatever. And I think, or like, what do they call it? Legal authority. I think that would be an interesting perspective on the characters as well. Be a much more lethal game in combat if it was GURPS. At least if we were running it as written. If we wanted more, you could get a lot of what you would be able to do with GURPS in Hero System. Hero System would also do a much better job of accurately building what Igor, the pet, would be like. But anyway, those are my I did have those twos come to mind when I was getting my coffee. So, mysteries. We're going to talk about your mysteries. What is your favorite mystery you played thus far?
I will say there was the scene with the train was fun. That's more scene than what's that?
On the train. Yes, I thought that was very fun.
Yeah, the trousers issue and the whole
yeah,
you know, that's more of a scene than a mystery, but
yeah, no, but that was part of the Elder Order of the Endless Odyssey, I think.
That was Fallows.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
because they were spying on you, and you followed them back to their what do you call it, like rural or county manor.
And another I thought it was kind of fun in that there was a combat in the big mansion on multiple levels. I think that was kind of it was a while ago, but
where you were caught in a bubble.
I think so.
That's that was the end of what was it, A Quiet Village by the Sea, or whatever we called that adventure.
Dag on the Sea.
Dag on the Sea was the name of it. I just can't remember what the name of the mystery was.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. The rest of you guys.
Yeah, I just said that one as well. Dag on the Sea was, or whatever it's called. It was a memorable one.
I really can't decide. I think the one with the tulpa was in a way the most fantastic one we had because of the thing that is now called the tulpa point or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we really don't know what actually happened in the meantime. Yeah, and I like the one with the Kelpie as well. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah. That's a good mention.
Ill tidings at the Poverty Pond.
Poverty Pond, yeah.
Yeah. That was notable.
Yeah, there's a few things that happen in that one that's remained unresolved too. The broken spire, the burrow owl and the raven, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a raven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other inspiration for membership at the Orc Swimming and Climbing Club.
Yes. What about you, Darren?
I think that the Tulpa was, I think it was the most interesting because we had knowledge that no one else had, and the conflict, you know, where you could only talk to certain people about it, and the whole risk to life with the professor guy and his family. I think there was quite a lot of things going on and quite a few sort of tough decisions. So I think that was probably the most memorable one for me. Just making some of the tough decisions and how to get out of it. And like Ingolf was saying, the after effects of it is still going. And that's probably true for other ones, but I think that's probably had the biggest impact up to now, you know, because there could be all sorts of repercussions that we don't know about, or, you know, things that could happen in the future. We've still got fellows still knocking about, you know, could be planning to do something similar or something else, and so it's quite a few unanswered things and ongoing things, and I just think it had the biggest impact on Paridar probably.
And I also like the one where we had to fight the demon in the basement of what is now your clinic. So this is I don't know, the one with the fire in Paridar all over the place.
Gosh, what do we call that one?
I've tried to wipe that from my memory. I've got
something in Brimstone?
Yeah, that was the father too, right? Wasn't that the father you brought up earlier?
Yes.
Hezekiah was. Your father Hezekiah was introduced in that one. I'm just checking to see if I've got.
Yeah, something with Brimstone for sure. Yeah,
because with this question more than others, there's I definitely find a recency bias just because I'm trying to remember from 2 years ago. You know, it's just harder to bring it up on the screen.
So the Elder Order, Fire and Brimstone. It was just simply called Fire and Brimstone. Fucking hack name on Jesus.
You were just getting your feet under you, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't all be gems, right? So, yeah, it was. So our mysteries have been the Harrow Haunts of Yule, the untimely undeath of Major Fitzhume, Depths of the Deep Dark Sea, the Art of Labor Relations, the Endless Odyssey, Ill Tidings at the Poverty Pond, Fire and Brimstone, the Patchwork Pauper, Quiet Village by the Sea, Guile of the Gaslight Man, Queen of the Veiled Sun, Survive the Veiled Sun, and we're about to kick off Hunt the Veiled Sun. So clearly what you can see is that there was a publishing deal that came in, so now we're just, leaning into what works. So
we could unveil the sun at some point, so...
Yeah, it's tough to talk. You guys don't have enough operating knowledge yet, and haven't really got yourself set in this new world yet. So I'm reluctant to talk about this until next year, when you guys have a better sense of what's gone on. But it's the biggest swing with the campaign that I've taken so far as like introducing what fits. One of the fun things with having our own unique setting for this is that we get to decide what fits and what doesn't. But one of the things I was concerned about is whether something is just not going to feel like, okay, hold on, why the fuck is this happening? And we've talked about this offline before, and you guys have been all really great about seeing where the story goes with it. You know, so I think that for GMs at home, there's a difference between sabotaging a campaign by just introducing things that did not fit before. Like, for instance, when I decided I'd make my Queen of the... What's the first adventure path that was published for 5th edition? against Wrath of the Dragon Queen or something like that.
Yeah,
What's it called? I've got it on my own show.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hated that adventure. So like within the first third of it, I was like, I'm gonna make this an undead plague. That just made the whole game about it. Killed the game. But I think that is a different. Like, let's shake things up then. And this wasn't an intention of shake things up. This has been in the making since we started playing this on a regular basis. But it's great that you guys, this kind of new element introduced into a setting that we've been making up as we go, as we go along. I guess because it's the same characters, maybe, and because it's a character-focused thing, maybe that's what maintained it. But it's also the players who are not like, I want to investigate steampunk shit in a magic setting. What the fuck is going on with this? So, it's a credit to you guys as players to wanting to see where this thing goes in the context of this ongoing game. But it's also, I think, it's worth noting for GMs who are wanting to, to try bold things in their game. It's been pretty fun in execution thus far. So, but any other comments on the mysteries? Let me ask you this then. What unanswered questions would lay your characters awake at night? Or leave your characters awake at night?
Probably still outstanding things with Mom, I would say, is the looming now.
Yeah.
And it may be inevitable. It's possible we managed to find her, that we end up going back without encountering her. It's possible, but seems pretty likely. Seems likely. It seems more likely than not. I'll leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
That there'll be a weird, and what she wants, it's more, I'm afraid it'll be more likely agenda focused. In fact, well, you know what? It was going to be very agenda focused until now. Our number one theory is that Vesta King wasn't from her. If Vesta King was from her, then it's inevitably agenda focused meeting with Mom. But now that's not necessarily the case as much.
Mm.
So,
what about the rest of you guys?
I think there's quite a long list, to be honest.
Is there maybe like the 2 or 3 that are at the top of Dr. Earthsprung's list?
Yeah, it's quite a long list, I think, for him.
Not being able to make payroll, huh? Not being able to make payroll.
That's insignificant. It's way down the list. So I think he'd love to know what's happened to Fallows. Whether she's still around and in hiding, which is what he imagines, or whether she's gone somewhere else. The Ghoul Father. What happened to the crew of the Blackwall ship? That whole Blackwall ship thing.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got sort of finished off or answered. I think we sort of learned quite a lot about it, and but never fully answered. Dr. Raycroft, how involved he is with Adam's creation. Whether it is his hands that were involved directly, or if he knows who it was, his sister, little Adam, all those sort of things. What happened to Archibald? Whether he's still alive, what's happened to him? So yeah, there's quite a few, I think, on the list.
Mm-hmm. What about for Sally and Basil?
James, do you want to go first?
Well, I guess Sally's maybe Well, what she should be wondering about is what's going on with her world and the creatures which seem to be threatening it. But it must be something to do with Paridar. She can never even remember the names of the baddies. So there's
The Seven Sages of Sorrow.
that's them, the Seven Sages of Sorrow. But clearly Paridar's mind-numbing memory loss thing keeps forgetting her to do that.
Absolutely.
So her main thing must be to get out of this bloody cave system and all this stuff and get back to a nice bathtub.
Mm.
And
Indeed.
of course, as we've said repeatedly, undying vendetta for Dogosh.
Mm.
Where is he? And how long can he survive in an enclosed room?
Nice. And what about Basil?
I think so. This he would. I mean, there are all the questions that Adam basically is pondering, but he is also pondering. So, what really happens, or what really happened? So there is this thing about this war which seems very sketchy. There seems to be some supernatural powers with all these spires. So there is some conspiracy going on here. So who is behind this, and what is really happening, and what happened to us? We don't even know what happened to us before that. So
Well, I think he's the only remaining veteran of the war as well. Because Sally certainly wasn't. Golag didn't fight in the war. Dr. Earthstrong came into creation either during or shortly after. And that leaves only you.
So I think in a way he has some memories from fighting in the war and something, but it is like all a blur, and the idea that you don't even know how the war ended, that is so strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We have met at least one person from the belligerent nation at that charity event that was run for Dr. Earthstrong's clinic.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
What would you want to see for your fellow Illuminators? So, question is there something you would want to see of or for one of your companions? Or employees, if you prefer to think of it that way, Golag.
Probably Dr. Earthsprung and his origins is the most. I mean, up until now, I think, Golag was in hot competition with that. Golag's in the middle of his origins story. But yeah, Dr. Earthsprung, I think, could use some. I think there's probably a perfect word out there, but could use some closure. Closure. How about that? Some closure with that whole situation. Better understanding to come to terms. Whatever that needs. Whatever he needs.
Yeah, I've probably got a couple. I'd like to see Golag join forces potentially with his dad. So in the future become this ultimate sort of private investigator, security, whatever firm, and join forces and become the force that they could become. That'd be one thing. So they're on. They're on talking terms, but yeah, a closer relationship, and maybe after this, he won't have to feel like he needs to protect him so much, and they might get closer together and whatever.
Change the relationship anyway, like an evolved relationship.
Yeah, whether they actually join forces, but yeah, just a better relationship. And then I think the other one would be, one each really, I guess. Basil to find out his involvement in the war and, how it ended and get some closure on that, if he wants it, which I think he does. And then Sally to maybe be able to go home, find out how to get home, and if she wants to go home, go back to her people. If that's a driving factor, or at least the option to, if you wanted to.
And what Sally and Basil?
Well, Sally would like to be able to solve his mommy and daddy issues, and for Dr. Earthsprung to have to not keep rebuilding Igor.
And Basil?
Yeah, I think Golek needs to. I think he actually needs to find out who he really wants to be, and that is. I think he's going at things completely the wrong way, but who am I to judge? So, yeah. And then there is Sally, who is. I don't really know whether she's a danger to herself or to all of us, or or maybe I don't know. She's a very, very complicated, conflicted character in Basil's opinion.
And getting more and more violent by the session.
Yeah, in a way she does. Yeah. So there is some need to find a certain meaning there as well.
It'll be interesting to see. There was at some point, Sally was approached by what seems to be someone interested in the 7 Sages of Sorrow, right?
Yeah.
If Sally somehow Sally had access to the Grudge Butcher, what would she do with it?
No. Yeah. So I was going Batman in at the end of one session where Basil was contemplating how he could stop Sally in case of need. So, and he still isn't sure how. So there's this.
Adam seems suspicious of it too.
Yeah, and Adam is. I think Adam is. Actually, I think Basil would want Adam to continue with what he does. I think he has already found where he wants to be, and he just has to accept that, and that's maybe hard, but yeah.
Maybe Basil and the Hag to get your I don't know, it's maybe the mother you never had, Basil.
Yeah, I don't know. I have this ring is still in his pocket.
It's almost like my painting upstairs, that ring on your finger. I feel like there's an analogy there.
Yeah.
Constantly just running your thumb over that ring.
Yeah. No, I'm not actually. So, but she said she would kill me if I wouldn't join her forces. So, I think he has. I think he has decided he can't join her, but is willing to give himself up if it would be if it would be dire need of that. But otherwise, I don't know.
Anything else? No, Anna, you don't get to participate. None? Then this is a character-focused one as well. What plans would your characters have for themselves beyond the business? They may not have any on account of the urgency with which events have been proceeding. But is there anything they have planned for themselves beyond working as a detective?
And where does Prince come into that? Is that part of the?
Mm-hmm.
I could see. I think I had thoughts of this a long time ago, but Golag maybe getting more involved with taking a role in city governance.
Yeah,
because he doesn't tap into his social too much. Like he does, but at a light level, not at like a high city level.
Yeah.
And he's pretty geared up for that. Like he's good to go. Like society is probably one of his highest stats or skills rather.
Yep.
So and he's connected as far as it goes, and particularly if his relationship with his father evolves, I think that could be fun to have a city intrigue aspect. Allies and enemies at a bureaucratic.
So Golag would be the like Jack Kennedy to you being run as the first orc candidate.
I don't want to. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But after to add to the princedom in a whole nother realm. I'm just saying. That's just I don't want to. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. That's interesting, though. That's interesting to think that would be. Golag would be thinking of other ways to integrate himself into the city in a way that your father's never been able to, apparently.
So would that make you fabulously rich?
I mean, we could find out. I mean, not that I wouldn't do it for that reason, but if it happened, it happened.
I know, because then there'd be something worth burgling in your house, and I can use my stealth skills.
It's going to affect your review, just as long as we know.
What are the rest of you guys?
I think mine's pretty simple. I think he would continue the work he started. Like Basil was saying, I can't really see in him. I mean, he might sort of branch into some more creative, like, I don't know, creating prosthetics for arms and legs. But it'd all be medicine sort of driven, with maybe some engineering sort of adaptions and coming up with new machines for surgery and stuff. So I think it'd all be around medicine and helping the people that can't afford to pay for such things, almost like a sort of health service of some description.
That's actually an interesting point, is that you have had connection with other members, like other physicians thus far too, but you haven't really with other engineers beyond Dr. Babcock, right?
No, not really that side of it. Apart from with the Tupa thing,
Or Babwell, not Babcock.
I think he'd like to sort of go back and talk to him, when things have settled down a bit more, and propose some working together and helping to sort of improve the medicine side of the city, and maybe able to help him as well. So he'd probably try and work on that relationship if the opportunity ever came up. So
what about Sally and Basil?
Yeah, I think Basil is, so with Annabelle's untimely demise, there is no one writing our stories down, I think. So I think that Basil could be, he has all these ideas, and maybe it's worthwhile to write them down and just publish yourself. So that could be something.
Do you mean as part of a paper or as like a Penny Dreadful type thing?
No. As you call that Penny Dreadful, I would say that is engaging fiction or something like that.
Very cool.
So something like that. I think he always was. He felt proud that they were in the news and all the people were reading the stories, and he even has a fan now. So come on. So who will continue to write this? It seems like no one, or this horrible person from the other newspaper. So I think we should do it ourselves.
Yeah, it is very, not a callback, but I mean, it is very Warhammer 4E that the one halfling you have met so far is an absolute bastard. So, because they're little pricks in that game. What about Sally?
Well, she doesn't really want to go home. Meet someone nice.
Very nice. So I have a question for this is kind of specifically for Sally, because the two folks who we knew that had connections to other places that did not remember anything about those connections were Golag and Sally. Does it cause Sally to reflect at all now, seeing Golag learn so much about what his the truth of his background or his personal history? Does that cause Sally to question her own or fear her own or look forward to learning about her own?
I'm sorry, Sally's shallow like me and has got the memory of a goldfish, so she's got her life in Paridar, and she's quite happy proceeding with that. And what's gone is gone, and
but she did in last session. She did start to get a few memories, didn't she? Because you remembered like the green spires.
Yeah, the green black stone spires. That's right.
So it's starting to slowly come back after that short time away from Paradise. So maybe it'll change. I don't know.
This is a more mechanical focused question. One of the things with Pathfinder 2 is it doesn't have the kind of like freewheeling multi-classing you see in some other D20 based games. So you're not obviously going to be picking different careers down the road, but how far ahead have you guys thought mechanically for your characters? Have you looked ahead and picked out like, you know, what feats you might want to take or what things you might, or spells or whatever, or is that a task you deal with when you get your level? I think I know the answer to this already, but I'm curious.
Yeah, that's interesting. I spend so much time on the current, it's just kind of unthinkable to actually go to like level 15. I would just get lost.
Kevin, I have to eat. I cannot be thinking through to level 20.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not so much that I spend time all the time, but man, when those levels hit, I definitely think, okay, here we go, and then I just do this ridiculous deep dive. It's fun, you know. Obviously, it's not like I humorously treat it as a labor, but it's it's fun. And I like to list I go through it and I list the ones that are of any interest, and then I crunch on it. And like there have been certain things I will say, not so much I look ahead. I don't specifically look ahead, but I think, for example, area effect spells have been pretty hard to come by, like really decent area effect spells, and that don't have they just have serious handicaps usually, or at least we're talking about the levels that Golag's been at. Yeah. And for example, like the like early on, I let's see, can't remember what it's called all of a sudden, but I had one where it's a little area effect, but it didn't move. You couldn't move it, and so it's just hard to bring it into play. The bad guys have that pesky habit of moving, and so you cast it. Because it's an area effect, and it was cool because it persisted. Yeah. But then they move, and then the skeleton one was pretty sweet because it moved. You'll remember the ones that came up from the floor. Yeah. But its handicap is that it doesn't have a heightened, and so it quickly kind of falls into irrelevance because it never gets above 2d6. So it's a little bit little bit mundane for
because your type of witch, you draw on occult spells, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is it's a thing unique to PF2, where like the arcane, divine, primal's not always been a thing in D&D, but it's sort of implied to be something, and then it became an official power source in 4th edition. So PF2 really is another thing it draws from 4th for that too. But occult is another one that because Pathfinder 1st edition. It interestingly tried to, rather than just replicate the psionics of the previous D&D iterations, they were like, no, it's occult. It's a whole different vibe with the Occult Adventures source book. It was psychics and things like that, but it had a very different vibe to it than what the others. It was more support with some like fighting with some other stuff. And I think that's carried over in the selection of spells into PF2 as well. So you end up with a bit of a grab bag of, you're not quite the like do a shit ton of damage to people the way that arcane spells do. I'm overly, tarring some of these with a bigger brush, but like Primal seems to be more like CC type stuff. But yeah, interesting. What are the rest of you guys?
The final of that. So spells come up that I think it's opening up a little, which I expected. As you get higher, there's So yeah, I don't think I've even had it. Well, I guess I have it prepped now because we did he's had a chance to prepare new spells. But there's one coming up now that's pretty legit, and it's kind of, and it doesn't have a major drawback like they've had ever since. So we'll see.
Nice.
It's got the heightened. I think it's even heightened +1, which is a big deal. Which is why biting words is such a thing, because it's heightened +1. So it just stays relevant just constantly, right? And I think this one's like that. It also has 3 different area effects you can choose. So to really bring it into play.
Cool.
And then you get to pick the kind of damage. So that's interesting.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Because
Basil, tends to be good at finding out information on enemies in the moment. And so if, Basil says, ice, then I have a chance of directing that power towards an ice attack. So it's a nice, it's an interesting.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to keep an eye on that. What about the rest of you guys? You keeping an eye on pending levels at all?
I want to get legendary in acrobatics because then I can drop from any height on my feet.
Nice,
cool,
and literally any height.
Well, Basil, Dr. Ersprung.
Honestly, I don't really look for the new levels because we don't really know when they're coming. I mean, sometimes you tell in advance, but and the other thing is I would rather have something that fits the game. So looking for feats that fit somehow what has happened, fit the character more than, I mean, this character is surely not built to be the most effective in combat. You could design it better.
And yet, I think he struck the final blow on at least two of the last bosses we fought.
Yeah. It is, whenever he hits, because of that strategic strike, it is really powerful. That is.
And what about Dr. Ersprung?
I don't really look at it beforehand, I must confess. And maybe like Ingolf's trying to say, I tend to try and pick what I think's appropriate to, the last story or what's happened in the campaign up to now. A bit like Golag and his climbing and such, that came from, some sort of adventure or scenario. But normally when I look through the list, that, if there's anything sort of healing or medicine related, it just stands out and I always take that option. And then if that's not option 1, then there's normally some sort of crafting or engineering type thing. That's always option 2, and then the rest don't get much of a look in normally, to be honest. But they sort of decide themselves a bit.
It's been really interesting to see, we've played a fair bit of Draw Steel. I didn't even think of that game for this too. But Draw Steel, and I haven't looked at Daggerheart closely enough. To be honest, with them releasing around the same time, I just love Draw Steel so much that I haven't really gone back to that. But that might be something that would accommodate this style of campaign. Draw Steel, I do not think it would be a dramatically different game we'd be playing if we were playing that. Not necessarily bad at all, just it's not designed for this. What was my fucking point other than talking about Draw Steel? We were just talking about you leveling, keeping an eye on medicine, the combat, without having a dedicated healer. Dr. Let me phrase that. You don't have someone who has access to healing spells. So not having a character with healing spells, we still run pretty much same encounter level fights, and you guys have been able to manage with that. So I think that's been, you're maybe not receiving as much healing as would be ideal throughout each fight, but you've managed to get through them all. The last fight that you had where you lost to Durgosh, that wasn't on account of lack of healing. That was on account of just your dice were absolutely turning on you.
I think I did struggle to get to people a bit in that last combat, more so than I probably would have done.
Whatever it was, the trolls with the.
I think because I think I got engaged sort of earlier.
Oh yeah, right.
Than I would have wanted to, so I wasn't in the back, and I found myself a bit trapped in the situation. So yeah, that went a little bit wrong. But he does try and take as much sort of healing options as he can because he's conscious of that. And he's even got Igor that can do some sort of healing once a combat. But it's all once a combat stuff, so once he's done it, it's sort of... But he has got the quick recovery afterwards, so every 10 minutes he can heal it. So if there was a sort of prolonged thing with short rests between, he could get everyone up to speed quite quick, which has been handy a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, without the magic, it is challenging, I think.
Mm-hmm. Any questions for each other? Oh, you're muted, Sean. Timo.
Does Basil want to get involved to a greater extent with the non-existent network?
At some point, I liked that option, but at the moment, not so much. So in this part of the campaign, I'm very much interested in what the other Izoki are doing here.
Mm.
And maybe it turns...
So you weren't here last session, so you didn't hear about it, but the guys did learn about another, everyone knows it exists, but no one talks about it, organization within the Yasaki here. Something called the Night Rats.
The Night Rats, okay. Interesting. We will see. Maybe it turns out I'm the long missing leader of the Night Rats.
A prince in your own right.
Yes.
The Night Rats were sort of alluded to as being like, if you fuck over the Skitterfolk caravans, they're the thing that visits you in the middle of the night.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see myself doing that.
Yeah. Nice. Well, the rest of you guys, any further questions from Sean for each other?
I guess. Go. You go.
No, I was going to say I would ask, has Golag got any real serious intention of staying in this place and actually, this whole sort of prince thing, and is there any sort of power hungriness that actually makes him think, I could sort of, become a ruler type?
I mean, if I had to, only if it was really called for, only if it was, I was actually exactly what I was going to say, Darren, when I was, except I was going to pose it to you guys, that like what you wanted Golag, what you kind of wanted Golag to do, like how you hoped it came out. But let's see, it's the whole prince thing was a little more on the table. Like, is this going to be actually coming to a scene where Golag has to actually turn something like that down? That was a little bit more on the table, I think, before we learned a couple of things. I mean, that one, when we thought Vesta King was from Mom instead of this creature, and number two, before we learned that Mom's completely deposed. That she's kind of, I mean, obviously people that are deposed can come back, but I mean, I thought, like, if she was in power and I come back here and she's like, you're the one, I mean, that's a much more natural, like, okay, then I actually have to do something about this. But, number one, she's not as far as we currently think, top theory, she's not the one that's been contacted me, like, so, putting up, she's not the one putting up the Golag light in the sky, like, you should be coming back here. It was this creature. And number two, she herself is trying to survive, so it's hardly. It seems hardly all of that seems a lot, pretty off the table. That it's really going to come to that front. Now, maybe the creature, poses some, whatever happens there happens there. I don't know. That's kind of hard to bring up to the scope of what. It's hard to bring that up to a friendly, to a very cooperative situation.
It's hard to say no when I don't know what the devil's bargain is. So
I'd like to hear it out. Thank you. Can I read the contract? I just want to read it. I mean, I think that's reasonable to be able to read what's being offered, And
what was your question for the rest?
Yeah, like what do you hope happens? What would be your would it be interesting if I mean, I realize it's a little bit campaign derailing, but would you hope that Golag actually in that scene and Golag goes, okay, and like, really, Golag's gonna become a prince in this other realm or some strange oddity like that? What were you hoping? What are you guys hoping would happen in any direct with Mom? Probably with mainly with Mom.
Honestly, I think the rest of your family. I mean, the one we knew before seemed to be the bad eggs in a way, and now we see that the rest is even worse. So I'd really, I mean, it seems to be a good thing that you were most of the time in Paridar. So. I don't really know. I think he shouldn't become some ruler here. I think this it seems the price you pay for being that is basically to give up yourself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's something that I wouldn't hope Golag would do. But on the other hand, sometimes he seems to be strangely obsessed with minor details like the polish of the car or something. So,
and waistcoats and things like that.
It's making payday. It's all it's a role that you have to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So the weird thing is, as far as I understand, I am the only one who is really employed in your agency, and the other ones are basically independent in their wealth. So. It's somehow.
I'm not really free to discuss contracts.
His spare bathroom, and that's about it.
And I wouldn't want to get into others' contracts. That's the.
Yeah. I see.
So, James and Darren, do you answer for Sean's question?
Well, I think two options. I think the Doctor would like it to go back to how it was. Everyone goes back to Paridar and we carry on with our investigations. But he also thinks Basil would make quite a good boss. I think he could work for Basil.
Yeah.
Just on a side note.
TMI.
Yeah. So when Golag
asks a question and when he gets an answer, hey, it's too much.
Whoa! No one asked that. No one asked that.
So I mean, when Golag wouldn't return, so I would happily take over the agency. So
well, I was about to say that if Golag stays to be ruler in this godforsaken mess, does that mean we get the house back in Paridar?
No. Nor the carriage. Well, I'll just answer before asked. Actually, no, but I do think, I think the story is much more. I mean, there could be some, as long as we're just hypotheticaling right along, some strange thing where I have some role in the realm. Let's say I don't stay there, but I have some position of authority, as long as they're just completely making this up, in the shadow, in orc lands, which isn't crazy. I'm an orc, so let's say my bureaucratic attachments aren't to Paridar, my bureaucratic attachments are to the shadow realm, but I come back to Paridar. Like there'd be some, that's possible, but I think a much more interesting storyline is what we talked about before, is an evolved relationship with my father back in Paridar. Like I think that's a more it's in line with what we've been doing, that's been working, and I think is a more interesting takeaway from this whole situation, rather than me, I don't know, having to somehow go back periodically to be that guy at the table with that long line of orcs out the building. They all come so your lordship, I need this, and I'm like, yeah, take the 2 cows, go ahead, like in the next, then the line moves forward, and he burned down my behead him next, that kind of the lord of the manor having to once a month go back and deal with that, but
What about you, James? What would your answer be?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying I'd rather go back to Paridar and get back doing our thing. As I say, it's all a bit uncivilized, this place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not holding my hopes up that if we meet more people, it's going to get better.
Mm.
As Basil said, it's not that. I think we've seen the best of Golag's family so far, so it's downhill from there.
Yeah.
So I mean, does Sally consider to join the high society more, or to make some kind? I mean, as I understood, you were kind of curiosity thing, that something that you were invited, but you could make some kind of a stage program out of it.
Yeah. So a little bit of the. But it's a balancing act, of course, being on the stage versus being in society. Those are two very different things. So.
But
But she likes a social life.
No, so I was just checking to make sure I wasn't missing any questions. Any other questions for each other?
We could have, it doesn't mean we could not have a new designated driver of the carriage in the future, for a major campaign.
Golag is about to make a real strong pitch for remote work. So
there you go.
Then, do you guys have any questions for me? After that scene with Annabelle Carrington, Kev, my question is, what the fuck?
I was going to ask, because I'm sure you said something a few weeks back with tweaking the rules when it came to crits and things from some of the the minions and stuff.
Oh, the minions, yeah.
Yeah. Have you changed? Have you sort of took that line as a permanent thing, and
not yet?
Anything else going forward, or
no, I haven't seen. To be honest, I haven't done that in play yet because we haven't had the fights we've had thus far. The last fight we had was 3 sessions ago. I think we've had 2 sessions of pretty exploration role playing stuff, which means it's been about. And I think we played Draw Steel on one of these days too because we were down people. So it's been about a month and a half at least since our last fight. So I haven't had a chance to try that yet, but it's something it always comes up whenever I regularly have a fight where I'm using a fair amount of NPCs because that's the way the encounter got built, where I'm just hitting crits too often. So I haven't done that, and I have no other house rules that I've thought about implementing for this game. It's one of the few games, we've talked about this before, I think maybe every time we do this, but it's one of the few games where I don't house rule anything. You know, is there something you want to see try out?
No, it wasn't. It's just you mentioned it with the whole, you know, sometimes they're just like making 3 attacks and you just, you know,
it's so frustrating.
6 of them and, you know, you're rolling, probably not, but 18 sort of attacks and it's like, well, the chances are you're just going to
it's just, you know,
1 or 2 every
what I hate,
every turn.
I tend to, like, I don't fudge dice rolls, so whatever comes out in this, and just with when I'm rolling 3 times, I am sometimes lucky with dice, so I'll get more 20s than I really want to see on this. So I don't know. Like, one of the things they've introduced in NPC Core and in Monster Core 2, and I don't know if they've got some in Alien Core 2 or Alien Core as well, is mini groups. So you have squads of enemies that are built as a block as opposed to individuals. And I'm very interested to see that in play, because I want to see whether if that handles the kind of problem I saw. I don't mind having a group of 10 enemies making 3 actions if that's going to be the thing. It gives us the feel of like the big fight without me having to risk, like, well, fuck, that's another crit on a 3rd attack, and oh shit, now it's double damage for whatever. So not yet, and that's probably because I've forgotten the frustration I've had with that, but also because I've been thinking about the group fight or the group mechanics for squads that I think might satisfy that issue. Any other questions? I guess first off, does that answer your question, Darren?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was only because it came up. The only other question I've got is, and I think you've mentioned this before in one of these previously, is I'm pretty sure you've said you've got a sort of overarching sort of long-term story.
Yeah.
But how many sort of chapters ahead are you sort of planning, would you say, or have you got in the pipeline sort of constantly? I think what I have is, like, I know what's going on in the setting, is so how we go through that is largely dictated. I don't write the next event, the next mystery, typically until we're done the first one, because I want to see what's happened. I want to see what was interesting. I want to see how it resolved, and then be able to go from that. I have rough ideas of, like, making sure that everyone gets, I've mentioned this before, like spotlight time, right? So that, like, everyone gets their episode, as it were. And also that's when I revisit, like, scenes we need to have for ongoing plots, right? Like, when we're starting off a new adventure, that's often where we're going to touch back on some of those things. But I don't have a sense of, like, okay, we're going to do 3 levels here and then we're going to go on to something else. Or I also one of the nice things with having it be like our own setting is that I'm free to, I really want to allow myself time to be like, this is an idea I want to see in play. How do I fit that in the overall framework? And more often than not, it's stuff I can fit in that I think supports and helps whatever the broader picture is for it. So, yeah, I'd much prefer writing to what you guys are doing and what has happened in the last thing within the overall framework of what is going on in the setting. Did that answer your question? Yeah.
Okay.
My question is, when are we going to run into foes that don't have dark vision, that my Shroud of Night is going to be effective at all?
You are about to take your first steps out and into the Veiled Sun. There's a good chance that there may be something there.
In a single creature, not one, and that's my patron's pride. Yeah. The single one that doesn't cost me anything of any kind.
Yeah, and there is a lot of. I mean, in fairness, there's a lot of monsters that end up with, like, at default, they get dark vision.
Yeah,
So, you know, that's just a function of the game. But yeah, and it's also a function of the places you guys have been. I think, like, a lot of the, like, mott spirits and ghosts and shit like that and undead, like, they all have dark vision for the most part. But with where you're moving into, I think you guys are going to find a very different types of encounters that you guys will be running into. I think you'll be very satisfied with the efficacy of some of those things. Just
Nice.
target orcs with that.
All have dark vision.
Yeah, dark
what we do.
vision.
That's what we do.
Any other questions? I guess first, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think that might result in asking for spoilers, and that's always no. Let's play to find out, as they say.
Yeah, no, I can't answer anything with respect to where we're going, and partly because I don't know what you guys are doing. Like with this campaign in particular, you guys are presented with problems, and how you respond to those problems is what the campaign is, and that's been it's been one of the reasons why this is such an engaging one to write for as well, is finding challenges that, one thing I'll say as well too, that's just so great about you guys as a group of players, no one fucking gives up. No one is like, I don't know what to fucking do. I've in 4 years of playing, I've not for a sense felt the feeling that sometimes players get in mystery campaigns where it's like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do next? And that says a lot about you guys as far as like good players in good sportsmanship context. And that is something I deeply appreciate, because I can put challenges and frustrations in front of you guys, and you guys will deal with it, recognizing that you're going to find the other side of this and realize the context of what's happened. And that's not every player. I'm not suggesting that there's anyone else on the roster that does that too, but I'm sure we've all played with players who are just like fucking belly achers. We're just like, come on, like, it is a game, man. Like, you're gonna, obviously whatever's happened right now, it's not gonna be forever, so like maybe keep playing and find out. But so that is a testament to you guys as players, is just you're good sports for whatever challenges are put your way, not only for like mechanical challenges too, but even like challenges in the fiction. Like having the most like non-game thing we've had happen is the potential custody hearing for Adam Auch, and that is something like there are players who may be like, who the fuck cares about this, or like, why would this happen? You took it as being like, okay, this is a thing now I need to grapple with this part of the story that's going on, because there's no mystery where you're going to run the dungeon of the family court hearing or something like that. It's just on its face, it's just one of those challenges that comes with life, and you took it with absolutely no complaints and rolled with it and saw where the story went with that. And that's something I really appreciate. It allows you to write for that kind of stuff then from my side of the screen.
When did you start having the basic framework for Golag's backstory? So like this whole thing we're doing now, how recently did you have a pretty good idea?
Yeah, almost immediately. Like once I realized this was a campaign, almost immediately I was like, okay, this is why we're talking about. I want to, because there's any mystery that is existing in the game, there needs to be payoff for that. I think that's the contract in this kind of, I don't know anything about my character. There needs to be something interesting about that, and there needs to be agency about how you're reconciling with that. You guys took not only pre-gens, but pre-gens with huge holes in their history, and you continue playing them for 4 years. The trade-off needs to be that whatever answers there are to those mysteries has to be satisfying and has to be something you can make a decision about. So early on, I knew what I wanted to do. Some of the particulars of stuff didn't come out until sooner because I knew I wanted to go there, but the broad strokes of what the orc lands were going to be like, right from the get-go, pretty much. Ditto for some other things, too. Some of the stuff we've hinted at with Sally, some of the stuff about the war, and Adam's origin, same stuff. I've got I have an idea of what I think my answers would be, but what you guys choose to do with that and how you reconcile that with your characters, I want to make sure it's things for you to decide. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Great. So, make sure
I don't think we got any questions in the chat either.
Awesome.
I don't
Perfect.
think so.
We've been that good by proactively addressing them. So there we go. Then, guys, we're wrapping up year 4 of this. Year 4? So we started playing in 2021. So it'll be all of 2022, all of 2023, all of 2024. Yeah. So it's fucking 4 years. So 4 years of time in Paridar. Thank you, guys. If I haven't said it yet today, thank you very much for playing this game. This has been an enormous amount of fun. It's certainly one of the most, one of the longest campaigns. It's one of the most, it's one of the campaigns with the most consistent forward momentum of any game I've run. You know, and that's, again, because of the commitment that you guys have had to making the sessions, to playing the game, to pursuing whatever's going on in it. I can't think of another game I've run where there's been regular progression towards the, developing the characters, developing the setting, developing whatever. It's a huge amount of fun for me to run. So thank you very, very much for that. As is always the case, I am really sorry for what's going to happen next time. But, and this is our final session of 2025. We'll be kicking off year 5 of this campaign with Hunt the Veiled Sun. I've said all my bullshit. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we wrap up year 4?
Yeah, I think we can only reply in kind and say, I mean, it is a pleasure to play this game, and it's not only. I think I can speak for all of us. It's not only as players, but it's also your dedication and world building that pays off for over years. I mean, that's having a lot of good ideas that carry the game through all these years. That's very, very impressive, and that's much fun
Thank you.
to play.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. Like I said before, it's still my favourite campaign because of the characters, and it's still the campaign or the game where I can quite happily sit and find out what's happening to Golag, or I can sit here and what's going to happen? Is Basil going to find out something about his history, or is Sally going to get to meet some distant relative, or I don't know, whatever it's going to be, and I can sit here and just look forward to learning what's going to be uncovered and what's going to happen next, and look forward to it. So yeah. I still love it. 4 years in, I still get nice surprises when the next sort of story develops, or we go back and revisit a character that I thought, I forgot about him. It might in the real world or the game world, it might only be 2 months ago, but it's probably a year or more in game terms, just because how it plays out, how long it takes us to do some of the mysteries and things. So yeah, I always look forward to the next episode or the next session. So yeah, I really enjoy it. So
that's nice.
Thank you for that.
I think I have one point of constructive criticism. I think we needed to have some kind of board where we count the numbers of Igors. So we could have that in the background,
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, exactly. And how many sessions they last? Because
so
an Igor Deadpool. We're betting against how long.
And improvements. Like, has he gotten any improvements? Has he gotten any?
What do you mean? Has he had any improvements? He's been upgraded about 3 times.
Well, see, we need to track that. We need to track it. We need to track the.
Okay, so numbers since last rebuild. I mean, that would be.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll bring our retrospective to a close. So for those listening at home, and for those who've joined us for some or all of the Spires of Paridar campaign, thank you so much to you as well for joining us as we're discovering this world, exploring these characters, and finding out what more awful shit is befalling them as we go along. Thanks as well too for the kind words. Like, there's been a couple of folks who have specifically requested like campaign information or setting information or stuff like that. Obviously, for the reasons of the way the campaign is structured, I can't do that. But I appreciate the enthusiasm that tells me that you're invested in this campaign the way we are as well too. So I take that as high praise and appreciate that. We will be back in about 6 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time. 4 weeks' time, right? Yeah, because 2 weeks from now will be the 24th. No, 26th. That'll be Boxing Day. And then, it'll be to January. So it'll be 4 weeks from now. We'll be back with to kick off Hunt the Veiled Sun. But as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or our overview, or the campaign in general, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have a channel dedicated to the Spires of Paridar campaign. There's also channels there for most of the other games and campaigns we run on the channel, as well as things like Find a Group, GM discussion, virtual tabletop chat. There is a terrific, knowledgeable, helpful, and friendly community over there. You're more than welcome to join us. We've unfortunately had to put up a thing where you got to answer a question before you go in, because we had a problem with spammers. If you do, just put something in there that lets me know that you watched the channel in some capacity, so I can let you in. If it just says fun or something like that, spammers put that stuff into trying to get in. So I just ask you to do that. In addition, there's a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an incredible selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. Like, I don't know, Ingolf, do you happen to have at hand a hard-to-find and out-of-print RPG?
No, only obscure ones. So like this wonderful World of Cinnabar.
Like the World of Cinnabar. If you are looking for something in their extensive catalog and they don't have it in stock, you can put it on a want list. They'll send you an email when it comes in. And if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code MUSER10. All caps, all one word. It's listed down below. That'll be good until the end of 2025, after which we'll have a new discount code. So if you're listening to this in or after 2026, just come back to one of our more recent videos. We'll have the discount code listed down below. The last thing I will say is an enormous thank you to our stalwart illuminators. So, Ingolf, Sean, James, and Darren, thank you so much for joining me today and these past 4 years in the Spires of Paridar. I look forward to many more. 4 years to get 9 levels, so we're looking at about another 5 or 6 to get you to 20. That tracks. So, but we'll be back in 4 weeks' time. Until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our illuminators have been uncovering and thwarting and taking on in these past 4 years. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.